Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on Arrow Season 8, and this is going to be my review for Episode 7, otherwise entitled Purgatory. And to me, this is, like, I guess, the real finale for Arrow, because you have Crisis, then the spin-off episode, then the proper finale, but that's not a proper episode, if that makes sense. So to me, this was my Arrow Season 8 series finale. Like, this is what it was to me. But of course, spoiler alert for what's going to happen, because we're going to talk about everything that happened in this episode. The first half just happened, I guess, but the last half is very spoilery, especially for Crisis. So don't watch if you haven't seen the episode yet. The last episode was obviously like the alternate reality sort of weird episode where the Monitor put Oliver and Laurel, and I guess Diggle as well, in that weird reality to pretty much just have them either have a reward or, learn something. Obviously, Laurel's reward for not betraying the Monitor was to actually get to say, goodbye to Quentin. And Oliver's lesson was basically accepting fate, which, once again, he learned from Quentin. But the episode ended with Oliver and Laurel waking up on Lian, Diggle, and the kids are there as well. And that's pretty much where we pick up. Now, I did love how he had like the throwback to the pilot episode with, Oliver's introduction to Lian. It's pretty much the exact same. And then showing us all the locations used throughout the years in the flashbacks, like the cave of Yao Fei, the crash site where like Shadow, Slade, and Oliver were in, in season 2, sorry. In season 1? Both? Anyway, whatever it was. Was it season 1 and 2? Whatever it was. I'm having a mind blank there, but just going to all these different locations I thought was really cool. And a bit sad as well, because they were really showing you like, hey, this is the last time you're going to see this island in any sort of major way in regards to having a focus on it. We're going to go back there in Crisis as well, a bit of a spoiler there. But just seeing it all, I just thought, it felt like, things were coming to an end. But we do learn that Argus agents actually brought, the kids to Lian, so Connor, Mia, and William brought them back. And Marnovu basically needs them to build a weapon on Lian, or a device. It's probably the best word. It's a device to build a weapon. Just, that's probably the best way to put it. And we do find out there's all these like energy spikes all over Lian, and that's why they are there. They're harnessing the energy, and that's why there's regrowth, because they even question like, yo, this island got blown up by Adrian Chase. Why does it look like no one's touched it? And we were all theorizing maybe just because it's time travel, it's also because of other stuff that's happened here, but it's pretty much bringing stuff back to life from a certain point in time, which I thought was very interesting. Now, obviously, we had the scene where Oliver tells William and Mia that he isn't surviving Crisis. I think this scene was meant to be... I think this scene could have been much better than it was. I'll come back to like stuff around this scene, which has been an issue this season, but I think this scene could have been better. Not gonna lie, the scene felt a bit odd because it wasn't as good as it should have been. But yeah, I just thought I'd mention that. But I did like how Lila explains her origin with Marnovu to Diggle. Obviously, we heard her refer to this, origin with Laurel without specifically saying that Marnovu or the Monitor had shown up just after, saying, yo, I survived, I saved you, and then shown up later and stuff. She avoided that at the time, but obviously the whole IED and Afghanistan incident and all of that, and how he showed her the non-existent future between herself and Diggle, how it was just, the crisis that ended it all. So I did like how Lila explained that, and it's fitting that it was in this episode that she does explain that. Now, we did have Dinah, Renee, and Roy Harper flying to Lian. They are hit by a missile, which once again is a throwback to season 1 with, what happened there. And this leads to split groups going in search of a couple of things. The first group is obviously looking for Roy, Dinah, and Renee. The second group, the first group is, Lila, Diggle, and Connor. So, I guess the Diggles. And then Laurel and Oliver actually go to find the plutonium that is needed to use on the weapon that landed elsewhere on the island. Now, Laurel and Oliver find the plutonium, but Laurel is actually caught by Billy Wintergreen, and then Edward Fires shows up. But how the hell are they there? Well, the energy of the island has not only made the island grow back to what it was like, but it has also brought back people. It's risen them from the dead, essentially. They're not zombies like we saw in The Flash this week. It's weird. The Flash, they're sort of similar the past 2 weeks. Like last week, they both had like weird alternate reality things, and this week they have like sort of like an undead situation. Are they planning that? I don't know. But anyway, they're brought back, and we also see Yao Fei return, and we find out that only the ones that were here from the beginning when Oliver first landed on the island have returned. So no Shadow, no Slade, or anyone that came a bit after that, like Sarah Lance, even though she's not dead, and neither is Slade, so Shadow would be the only one that comes back anyway. You know what I mean. But having Edward Fires, and I guess having Billy Wintergreen's like first Deathstroke there was just really cool to have him there as well. They were in like, 2 or 3 scenes. They weren't in a lot of it. But it was just cool to have them back regardless. Obviously, having Yao Fei was cool as well. He's once again only in a couple of scenes as well, but that's because I had to focus on a lot of other things. But even just having them there for a bit of the episode was cool. Now we get a massive comic book thing, which is different from what happens in the actual comics, but the same result happens. And that's when we see Roy Harper's arm trapped under it was like the wheel of the plane, like the landing. I guess it was like the landing gear. That's probably what the best thing to call it. But the thing with the wheel from a plane, and there's multiple things making them come to a decision quick. Like, yo, what are we going to do? We can't just wait for, the Hulk, maybe not the Hulk, someone that's strong in the DC comic lore to come and lift this wheel. We have to make a decision now because there was people coming, and then there was like the engine fuel was going to light up and then blow them up or something. So there was the things they had to decide quick, and they come to a decision, or Roy specifically says like, yo, just do it. Cut my arm off. So Connor Hawke amputates Roy's right arm. Just like from the comics in regards to his right arm being lost. In the comics, it was actually Prometheus that made Roy lose it on like the Justice League headquarters, I think it was. Like Prometheus gets on there. Not the Prometheus we saw in Arrow, just a namesake. This one was much different and was a bit... He really screwed over Roy. Now that I think about it, this Prometheus character. Anyway, we won't jump into the history with that, but Roy loses his arm. So you'd have to think, and I'm sure I'm not the only one thinking this, that Roy's going to be in the spin-off, and we're going to see him with the metal arm, and maybe William might build him the metal arm. Is anyone else thinking that? I think that'd be pretty cool. It might be a bit... But then again, we saw Oliver with the metal arm, so they'll just do the same thing there. I think that's probably what they're going to do. I don't know, unless they were just doing it to say like, oh, look, Roy's lost it now, so we've matched his comic book counterpart. But you'd have to think they would have done that for a reason. So I'd expect him to be in the spin-off, or at least be a recurring character on that spin-off. Who knows? Now, William's speech to like Mia about their father was literally, I think, most of the audience speaking to Mia, but it was also very similar to, I think William references it there as well. I think it was in that one specifically when, I don't think it was last season. Was it last season or was it season 6? When William's in the Arrow bunker and Felicity shows William his father fighting, because William was like, not understanding of what was going on with his father. And then Felicity shows him fighting and everything like that, and it changes William's perspective and everything. Basically, William was doing the verbal version of that. And I think that was a smart thing to do, because the thing I've disliked about the Mia and Oliver thing, people say like I'm really unfair on me, that I'll explain it. The thing I have disliked about the whole Mia and Oliver stuff is that they always start every episode that she's been in present day with them having issues. And then at the end they resolve it. And it makes you dislike the character a lot in that first 60 to 70% of the episode, when pretty much the character is insufferable and just whining about everything, and it's too much of an annoyance throughout the episode to make you come around by the end of the episode. Then the next one just repeats the same thing, so you dislike the character even more, just builds on top of each other. That's the issue I've had, and this episode did it as well. However, they started to resolve it much earlier, which I did appreciate. They're like, hey, let's just try, we've written Mia not that well, but let's try and do it a bit early in this episode, which I did appreciate. Now, one thing I did like that they pointed out was Diggle feeling guilty, because they did highlight it, not highlight it, but they definitely did make references to it when, Roy was stuck under the landing gear, before he had to amputate his arm, because, Diggle is sort of the one that got Roy into all of this. And I thought that conversation was great. I think Colton Haynes was very good in that scene as well. And I did like the line that was said with heroes make sacrifices. I thought that was a great line. And it's very relevant to what's about to happen starting next week in Crisis. Now, the Team Arrowverse Fires crew that we're called the Firefighters. We're calling them the Firefighters. So, Team Arrowverse, the Fires Fighters. It was okay. I think it was just to keep other characters doing something while other stuff happens. So, we hear that Oliver's DNA is actually needed to activate the device that William has built throughout the episode. But it actually isn't Oliver's DNA. It's actually Lila's. As soon as that happened, I was like, no way, that's what it is. Did anyone else get that? Did anyone else's like mouths drop and go, oh my god, that's like what the whole season has been. This whole season, and I'm not even mad. That's so good, because everyone was wondering what the device was. Is it an antimatter cannon? Is it just a normal matter cannon? Like, what is it? No one was predicting this. No, if anyone says, oh, I predicted that the device was to make Harbinger, you're lying. Don't even try and pull that out of your ass. That was such a twist, and I loved it. So the device is to actually create or activate Harbinger, whatever you want to call it. So Lila is the weapon that we have spent this season, creating. I love that. And as soon as she got created, she's like, I'm gonna head out, and just left. I was like, okay, bye Lila, bye Harbinger. See you next time. Now, Oliver's goodbyes to all the characters, like, as I said before, this was my series finale, and it did feel like a finale what was going on here. There wasn't any Laurel goodbye, which I thought was interesting. I guess it's because maybe Oliver won't have any time with, say, Renee, Dinah, and Roy going forward, but maybe he will have some stuff with Laurel. Apparently Earth 1 Laurel's in there, so some time travel, some afterlife crap is in Crisis, so I'm guessing that's why they didn't include it there. There was a debate online I saw that Diggle should have been last, which I think if this was a proper finale, like there was nothing going after it, Diggle would have been the last person that Oliver talked to, but Mia was last because of Crisis. Those obviously what happens at the end of the episode. But the conversation between Oliver and Mia here, I thought was good, and I thought it carried on from the William and Mia speech, where it just carried on really well, and Mia finally came to the realization following William's speech, which I thought was just a relief. This was spin-off setup. If you really break it down, it is saying like, oh yeah, it's spin-off setup as well as leading to Crisis. But I think it was still a nice scene to watch. It was actually arguably one of the few scenes I've actually felt a connection between Oliver and Mia, which I thought was good that it happened in this episode. Like, better late than never, as I always say. But it still relates to the point I had earlier, where annoying in the first half and then gets decent in the second half, but at least this episode happened a bit earlier. But this is pretty much where we see Harbinger show up. She's like, yo, what's up? Red skies begin on Lian, and the crisis has begun. So we knew from the trailer, some of the teasers, that Oliver and Mia get picked up, and that's pretty much why these two had the last conversation. But I'm interested to see, like, chronologically in that first episode where we come here. Like, has Harbinger already picked up a couple of people? Is that, like, when she left initially, did she go get, say, Batwoman, go get the Flash, and then she came back to Lian Yu to get Oliver and Mia? So she already picked up a couple of people? Maybe that's what's already happened there. We'll have to wait and find out in Supergirl in a couple of days, like 4 or 5 days. But overall, the first half of this episode was just okay. It was just an okay episode, and I wouldn't, rave and rant about it. Or not, I wouldn't rant, but I wouldn't, like, rave about it to anyone. But the second half I really did like. It did feel like a finale, felt like wrapping things up, while also leaving things open because what's going to happen in Crisis and beyond. Some spin-off setup, which I really don't like when they do that, even though most of the season has been spin-off setup, which has bugged me a bit. But still, another great Arrow episode. I think they pretty much nailed it outside of, like, 2 episodes. So yeah, I'm pretty happy. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like and it shows support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions on what we went over and your favorite parts from the episode. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.